You got to look both ways before you cross the street. Everybody's taking shots at us, Caitlyn Clark fans, the Chicago Sky vloggers, the content creators, the Angel Reese content creators are firing at us non-stop. We got to keep our head on a swivel, y'all. We got to keep our head on a swivel. Stephanie White's a bum and needs to be fired. That's what's going on. Did y'all see the interviews today? Sophie Cunningham just exposed Stephanie White. Flat out exposed.
So Sophie Cunningham just hit us with a plot twist nobody saw coming. And trust me, it's better than any reality TV drama. She didn't just defend Caitlyn Clark, she absolutely annihilated Stephanie White's coaching cred. Armed with receipts, pure sass, and a look that screamed, "Yeah, I said what I said." What sparked this fiery takedown? And why is the WNBA suddenly looking like a group project where nobody's pulling their weight? Buckle up, because this tea is scalding hot, probably hotter than the Fever's bench.
Stephanie White, in her post-game interview, confirms the team looks the best when the ball is in Caitlyn's hands, when she is the main decision maker, and everything revolves around her. Yet for some strange reason, in the Valkyries game yesterday, after witnessing that in real time, Stephanie White decides to change things up, slow the things down, take Caitlyn out the game, and she complains that the team suddenly loses focus.
Forget fancy 5-player sets. The real reason fans are packing arenas, rocking mismatched merch, and chanting like it's a cult revival. It's the Caitlyn system, period. Caitlyn is the system. Honestly, you could line up 5 traffic cones and Fever jerseys next to her, and the place would still sell out. Because let's be real, no one's dropping cash to see backdoor cuts and screen assists. They're buying a ticket to the Caitlyn Clark show. Here we go.
Sophie Cunningham went on the record to basically say what I've been saying and everyone else. Give the damn ball to Caitlyn. Whatever offense we running right now, it is not working. You have to give the ball to Caitlyn and let Caitlyn do what Caitlyn has to do. Now, we done seen this formation time and time again. Now, I know some people might want to say Caitlyn Clark was off the ball somewhere at Iowa. She was a little bit in years past.
When an entire ecosystem revolves around one gravitational force, you're not watching a team sport. You're witnessing basketball theater, and she's the headline act, the director, and even the person tearing your ticket at the door. Into this magnificent chaos steps Sophie Cunningham, part baller, part human megaphone, and full-time truth dealer. This woman does not have a mute button, and frankly, thank the heavens for that.
It's a rough time being an Indiana Fever fan right now. Things is getting real crucial. It's real serious. We're almost 20 games into the season, and we are below 500. This is embarrassing. I would have, at the beginning of the season, I would have bet you my last breath. I would have bet my life, my house, everything, that there was a 0% chance that we would be under 500 19 games into the season.
And let's be clear, Sophie isn't here to play diplomat. She's not trying to land a cushy job at the league office, and she sure as hell isn't sugarcoating anything to appease the good vibes only crowd. She drops truth bombs with HD clarity, hitting you with the precision of a buzzsaw in a dollhouse. People get visibly uncomfortable around her because she tells the truth like it owes her money. You ask Sophie a question, you don't get a soundbite. You get a full-blown fireworks show followed by a TED Talk.
Watch a 19-point loss, Caitlyn Clark's return, in which, since this is a lady we're talking about, it looks like Stephanie White has spaded Caitlyn Clark, for lack of a better way of putting it. If it was a dude, I'd say neutered, but, you get my point. She has taken away Caitlyn Clark's greatest asset, which is the creator and instigator of offense.
She possesses that ridiculously rare quality of actually believing what she says, then gasp saying it out loud in public. In an era of media-trained athletes whispering bland platitudes, that's like skydiving without a parachute, but with all the confidence in the world. Naturally, some delicate souls had their feelings spectacularly rearranged when she dropped her 2 cents, more like $200,000 worth, on which cities deserve WNBA expansion teams. Oh, the horror. A player with opinions about her own league speaking into a microphone. How dare she disrupt the echo chamber of beige interviews and pre-approved talking points. She wasn't playing the league's political game. She rolled the dice, flipped the board, and told everyone the pieces were rigged from the jump. But that's Sophie's charm. She's not aiming for miscongeniality. This isn't a PR stunt. It's because she sees what anyone with a basketball IQ above sea level sees. Caitlyn is the system, and everyone else is fumbling the user manual. There's absolutely no reason Caitlyn should be playing like she's being punished for inventing the three-pointer. Honestly, the only thing more awkward than her current usage is watching referees try to explain a tech foul without breaking into interpretive dance.
Had this to say.
I think that everyone saw that. We kind of got some flow when Kate was hurt and our offense was clicking. But now we have to have a new offense when she's in there because she just brings that much to the game, and so we have to adjust. And I think all of us just want it now. We know
we had some flow, but when Caitlyn's here, we need to play a different style because she's that great. That is what Sophie Cunningham just said.
Instead of building the entire offense around this generational phenomenon, there seems to be an active, concerted effort to just integrate her, as if her presence is a mild inconvenience requiring bureaucratic approval. Let's be crystal clear, she's not a supporting character. She's not a developmental project. She's the blueprint, the main event, the pyrotechnic finale before the stadium lights even cut out. Sophie doesn't have time for coded language, and she sure as hell doesn't have the patience for legacy coaching hierarchies pretending it's still 1997. She sees a star being dimmed on purpose, and she screams, "Nope, not on my watch." She says it, not because she's rude or disrespectful, but because she's raw and unfiltered in a league still obsessed with its filters. She'll declare out loud what everyone else is only whispering in their group chats. She'll question decisions that others sheepishly excuse as strategic. She'll call out those underwhelming coaching adjustments that look more like confused yoga poses than actual basketball plays.
Pass. But when Caitlyn Clark has become the Caitlyn Clark we loved and we've grown to see, Caitlyn Clark has the ball in her damn hands, bro. Caitlyn Clark has the ball in her hands, and she said verbatim herself that they run a read and react offense. You know what that is? The ball's in Caitlyn's hands. Now, there has been a large speculation that Caitlyn Clark pretty much wants to go to New York and play with Sandy Barnadello and the gang.
Beyond all the corporate buzzwords and nebulous game plans, here's the cold, hard truth. The Fever were handed the keys to a Ferrari and decided to use it for a grocery run. Caitlyn's talent is being wasted faster than Wi-Fi in a forest. You don't draft a once-in-a-generation player just to have her stand in the corner while someone else runs a post-up that inevitably ends with a missed layup and a collective sigh from the entire crowd. No, you let her cook. You get out of the way, pass her the spatula, and let that genius unfold. But somehow, Sophie is the controversial one for simply stating this obvious fact. Not the coaching staff, not the offensive scheme that genuinely looks like it was scribbled on a napkin mid-turbulence. Not the decision makers who keep treating an elite shooter like some casual role player. Nope, it's Sophie, with her bold statements and her absolute refusal to pretend the Emperor's robes are real. All she did was voice a preference, and suddenly half the internet was demanding an apology as if she'd just insulted their grandmother's cooking. Folks, it's about expansion, not the Hunger Games.
I don't care about the rest of what she has to say. It's gonna sound good, I'm sure. It's gonna be her refusing to take accountability, I'm sure. It's going to be her putting the onus on the players, I'm sure. Not owning up to her, I'm sure. But what she said right there, other than 2 5-minute spurts, the team lost focus, didn't pay attention to detail, so on and so forth. That is her not realizing that she's accountable for what transpired.
What Sophie Cunningham fundamentally understands, and what far too many refuse to admit, is that this league only truly thrives when the product is undeniably excellent. And right now, that product sells tickets, jerseys, and eyeballs only when Caitlyn Clark touches the ball, not when she mysteriously vanishes for 10-minute stretches like she's been grounded by the coaching staff. If people are emptying their wallets and packing arenas for one player, then maybe, just maybe, the offense should involve her more than the bench rotation involves folding chairs. No one tuned in to watch the Fever run outdated sets that confuse frantic motion with actual progress. Nobody's sticking around to watch offensive possessions that resemble group therapy sessions with zero resolution. They're here for fireworks, for deep threes, for that kind of audacious confidence that makes even opposing fans cheer. And speaking of which, sometimes the truth just needs a microphone and a whole lot of attitude. And just when you thought it couldn't get any spicier, here comes Sophie Cunningham with that killer comment. Players on their own islands. Like this is some abandoned tropical cruise, not a professional basketball team. The WNBA suddenly transformed into Survivor Indiana Fever edition, where trust is a myth, chemistry is folklore, and everyone's too busy paddling solo to notice the boat is actively sinking.
I've never thought that I would be saying this late last year in November when the Indiana Fever hired Stephanie White. I never thought I'd be saying this right now, only 19 games into the 2025 season, that it's time for Stephanie White to go. The Indiana Fever needs to fire Stephanie White. This is not going to work. What we're seeing is not going to work. It's just not going to work.
Because, let's be real, sometimes the truth just needs a microphone and a whole lot of attitude. And just when you thought this couldn't get spicier, here came Sophie Cunningham again, doubling down on that comment about players on their own islands, as if this is some leisurely tropical cruise and not, you know, a professional basketball team. The WNBA suddenly looks like Survivor Indiana Fever edition, where trust is a myth, chemistry is folklore, and everyone's so busy paddling solo they can't even see the boat actively sinking. And right into this mess, here's Sophie grabbing the megaphone and screaming out what's been painfully obvious to anyone with two eyes and even half a basketball brain. This team isn't just disjointed, they're practically allergic to cohesion. It's one long group project where no one wants to open the Google Doc, and Sophie's standing there going, hey, maybe we should, you know, work together. But instead of addressing the glaring dysfunction, the powers that be just keep spinning the wheel of maybe this will click eventually, as if chemistry is going to magically appear like a limited time coupon. We're 2/3 of the way into the season, and the head coach is still scribbling on a whiteboard like she's lost in a labyrinth of her own making, still figuring it out at game 20. That's not strategy, that's malpractice in a headband. Imagine having Caitlyn Clark on your roster and treating offensive rhythm like a scavenger hunt. The plays look less like designed action and more like improvised street performance art.
I like how she looks, but man, it's tough. It's tough to get that growing to 100%. But I like the mindset, thinking about her long term, right? Long term, and that's what matters the most. I know we are trying to push the Indiana Fever to win a championship right now this year. I know a lot of fans would love to see it, but at the end of the day, man, if Caitlyn Clark has to sit out for the rest of the year, would y'all be able to accept that? Would that be something you can live with? You know what I'm saying? Not saying she has to or anything like that. I'm just saying if that came about.
Meanwhile, Sophie's just calling it exactly like she sees it because she's utterly done pretending, done tiptoeing around the glaringly obvious. And let's be brutally honest, if players are feeling disconnected, it's not a vibe issue, it's a leadership problem, and it's been slow roasting since day one. That island analogy wasn't just a stray remark, it was a full-blown, spot-on diagnosis. You've got scores not getting touches, defenders not getting direction, and rotations that look like someone's attempting Sudoku mid-game. There's no system, there's no accountability, there's just a head coach with a playbook full of fog and a locker room full of polite shrugs. The disconnect is louder than the national anthem, and Sophie is the only one brave enough to harmonize with it. But here's the kicker, people still act surprised that she's saying these things, like, is this a roulette wheel wearing a whistle? It's not that the team lacks talent, they've got plenty, but talent without direction is just chaos in sneakers. You can't build chemistry by accident, you can't expect synergy when no one's allowed to build trust, and you definitely can't keep shuffling lineups like a DJ trying desperately to save a dying dance floor.
Today, lads, obviously there's going to be a lot of videos about Stephanie White because we need to be honest here. Stephanie White's not going to change. Stephanie White is not going to change. Stephanie White is not going to stop until her style of drag everyone down to their level basketball prevails. She's not going to change. And I do not think that we're going to see very much of Stephanie White, or very much of the Fever playing good basketball under Stephanie.
So when Sophie speaks up, her words cut through the noise like a chainsaw at a poetry reading. She's not whispering suggestions, she's delivering blunt evaluations, and yes, it stings. But the truth usually does, especially when it's been buried under layers of deflection, media jargon, and post-game interviews so vague you'd swear they were written by an AI trying not to get sued. And what's the typical response from the sidelines? More ambiguity, more trust the process energy. Because if that process hasn't been a slow, painful descent into mid-season purgatory, I don't know what is. It's like watching someone refuse to read the instruction manual while assembling IKEA furniture, then blaming the screws for not having enough chemistry with the wooden panels. Meanwhile, fans are watching Sophie like she's the one sane person in a horror movie full of terrible decisions. She sees the ghosts, points straight at the haunted basement, and everyone else is still like, no, let's split up and investigate separately.
Late last year in November, when the Indiana Fever hired Stephanie White, I never thought I'd be saying this right now, only 19 games into the 2025 season, that it's time for Stephanie White to go. The Indiana Fever needs to fire Stephanie White. This is not going to work. What we're seeing is not going to work. It's just not going to work. Stephanie White yesterday reduced Caitlyn Clark to a role player. She turned a star into a role player like we've never seen before. While Tyler Marsh is trying to turn Angel Reese into a star, Stephanie White is trying to turn Caitlyn Clark into a role player. Let that sink in. We're going to talk about that right now. Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Rudy's Rant, Her Game, Her Way Women's Basketball. We talk facts over feelings.
Of course, there's no connection among the players. They haven't been given the slightest space to build it. What they have been given is a system that simply doesn't exist, expectations that are sky high, and a coaching philosophy that reads like a Mad Lib. The entire setup is a masterclass in confusion. You've got rookies carrying veteran burdens, shooters playing hot potato with cold hands, and then there's Sophie standing in the middle of it all, torching the nonsense with a flamethrower of truth. This isn't about being negative, it's about being undeniably real. She's not attacking players, she's fiercely advocating for them. She wants a system that honors talent, not one that buries it beneath passive aggression and outdated schemes. She's not here to cuddle egos or babysit broken game plans. This calls for urgency. This demands reality. This isn't some mid-tier roster begging for scraps. This is a team overflowing with legitimate firepower being managed like a high school drama club lost backstage. And while others pretend everything's fine, Sophie's kicking over the prop table and demanding to know why there's still no dress rehearsal.
Stephanie White under fire by Fever fans. She blasted her team after the squad's loss to the Golden State Valkyries, which was a rough watch. No question about it. Says there is correct, but she's going to get criticism because of the mixing of the lineups and the way Caitlyn Clark was utilized, or you know, the idea of playing Caitlyn Clark off the ball, which has been an on and off topic all season long.
The true insanity here isn't Sophie's commentary, it's that what she's saying still needs to be said. We're 20 games in and the head coach still looks like she's waiting for a starter pack to arrive in the mail. At this point, they've played more games than there are letters in the word incompetence, and the offense still has less flow than a broken water fountain. That's not progress, that's an endless soul-crushing cycle of, well, maybe next time. And still, through all the confusion and forced smiles, Sophie is standing her ground, not flinching, not softening, because she knows what the rest of the league is whispering. If Caitlyn Clark played for a different team, we'd be seeing nightly highlights instead of therapy sessions. She knows this roster isn't the problem, it's the direction, it's the game plan. Maybe one day, the system will finally reflect the talent it was gifted. Until then, it's island living, a team adrift, a coach with a compass that spins wildly, and Sophie once again brave enough to say what everyone else is too afraid to admit, that insanity is doing the exact same thing 20 times and still calling it a strategy.